Hello, everybody. OFC MMA fans, here we go. So, today's fight card is OFC 5, the first champion. And it's titled that because, of course, this is the finals of the OFC Heavyweight Grand Prix, which decided our first ever heavyweight champion and our first ever overall champion. You might see me look off to the side like this. That is where the screen showing what I'm recording is. That's where the camera is. So, there may be a little bit of lack of eye contact. I apologize. Hopefully, it'll get better over time. So, I really wanted to do a heavyweight fight for the play-by-play. Unfortunately, all the heavyweight fights were very heavyweight. And if you're not familiar with me saying that, it's the fact that heavyweight fights are either very exciting and end in a sloppy knockout or some phenomenal Francis Ngannou display or whatever. Or they get kind of shitty. And this was kind of the latter. The ones that didn't really get into a shitty grind ended up being just really one-sided performances. I mean, for example, we had a 55-second rear naked choke. We had a 3-minute 22-second rear naked choke that was pretty one-sided. We had 3 decisions that were kind of unfortunate, frankly. So we're not going to do any of the heavyweight tournament fights for today's play-by-play, as you may have guessed from the title of the video. Instead, we're going to do Massaranduba Jeremy versus Patrick Kratos Krummenacker. This is a bit of a weird one because Kummenacker is a completely AI-generated fighter. He's a good athlete, a good wrestler, does some weird things on the feet, but not terribly effective. I'd kind of compare him to almost a Patrick Cummins. If you're familiar with Patrick Cummins in the UFC, a guy who can definitely wrestle pretty well, but doesn't have a lot of other tricks in his bag and gets hit really hard when he does. As for Massaranduba, he is a very solid grappler. It's very much like a brute power grappler style of grappling, but it's very effective. Pretty heavy hands, reasonably talented striker. Short for the division though, because if I pull up his page here, I'm looking over to the side because that's where the fighter list is. Where is he? There he is. He is a 5'9" 205er. So obviously a guy who can be caught at the edge of a jab, can be limited, but also at the same time, is used to that. He's been doing that. He's 10-1. He's 9-1 coming into this fight. Like, I gave away who was going to win, but I think it was given away anyways. He's facing a 6-2 Krummenacker, or a 6'2" Krummenacker, who is 3-0 coming into the fight. So I don't know. There's not much else to break down here. I'd like to get into like the deep technical recesses of this fight, but they're not really there. You have two fighters who are not particularly deep strikers. One that is very defensively lapsing. One that is just proficient and does his thing. And you have two guys who want to be on top on the ground. So there's not really a ton to break down in terms of the technical aspect of this fight. We predict there's going to be takedown attempts. There's going to be some boxing. Not really any kicking. And that's kind of it. Another example for Krummenacker would be kind of almost a 205 version of Brian Kelleher, who's currently in the UFC. You know, like an explosive finisher, but a guy who definitely can get finished because his defense in kind of every area is a little bit lacking. That's kind of what we're dealing with here. So there's that. So it's a bit weird to be bringing on an AI-generated fighter at this point, but this was the most interesting fight on the card in terms of that. It was a fight card that I really thought was going to be better, but much like the UFC, sometimes you put two fighters in there that are supposed to be exciting, and they don't really deliver on a high level. So that is that. So I will see you on the flip side in the commentary. And round one of Krummenacker versus Massaranduba is off. Krummenacker stalking forward, throwing a barrage of punches, trying to get the tie up against the cage. Very quick start here, but Oliveira's got him in the collar and tie clinch up. And we got a knee to the body. And we're just really getting a lot of scrambles up here against the cage right now. Krummenacker really trying to get this fight down. I'm not sure if that's a really good idea. I mean, with the reach advantage he's got, maybe this is a time to try out his striking game. But he wants to get Massaranduba down. Massaranduba is making him work for it really hard, making sure to dig in the underhook, making sure to keep this fight standing, and actually getting much better work done in the clinch here as he puts knees to the midsection. Eventually we have it here. Krummenacker trying to turn the corner, and he's got this fight to the ground. He's really trying to buck up there for that big ground and pound right now, but it's not really working out. D'Oliveira, or Massaranduba, is doing an amazing job of tying him up, not letting him land with hard punches. In fact, I would say that he's punishing right now the canvas more than he's punishing his opponent. Krummenacker has landed, I'd say, these 3 or 4 now big punches that have thumped off the canvas, as opposed to actually landing against Massaranduba's head or body. And what he is getting through is largely glancing off the arms of Massaranduba, who is working for his own sweeps, his own work here. He's in full guard. He's very dangerous in full guard. He's got an excellent lockdown full guard. And there's not really a lot Krummenacker is getting done here. But I would say that he is winning the fight. He has got top position right now. There's not amazing amounts of submission grappling going on right at the moment. But this could end up being changing at any moment here. We have a tight lockup right now with about 3 minutes to go in the first round. Massaranduba is working for a Kimura right now. That could be interesting. He could turn that into a sweep. We're up against the cage. He's starting to kind of escape out with his butt and might be able to turn Krummenacker here. This has been a problem that Krummenacker has had in some of his fights, is that he's not necessarily defensively sound. He prioritizes ground and pound, kind of heavily over establishing physical control here. And this is really getting him into trouble. This is turning. We're turning it over right now. And D'Oliveira has got the sweep. He is on top position right now. Krummenacker managing to scramble into a full guard position. Massaranduba still has that arm control, though. So that arm is still very much in danger. I could see this turning into a full-on Kimura. There's also key locks here. There's also arm bars. Anything you can really imagine right there. He's also landing a good short elbow, digging it into the side of the chin of Krummenacker right now. Krummenacker is trying to scramble back out. He's trying to post up, trying to get back to his feet. That's really just exposing the arm, though. And in fact, there's the pass into half guard from Massaranduba. Good slide through, not letting Krummenacker get back to his feet. He's landing a good, hard forearm shiver right to the jaw, and is now also sliding the other leg through. So we have full-on side control here, and he still has that wrist control. He still has control over Krummenacker's arm, slinking the other one through. He's cranking. He's cranking. This is a key lock. Key lock position right now, and we might get a tap here. Krummenacker is thinking about it, and there's the tap. I think the referee also was about to step in to save the arm. Your winner via 3 minute and 50-second key lock submission, Jeremy Massaranduba, proving to 10-1 in his career. Krummenacker takes his first loss. Hopefully he learns from this. He has a lot of physical upside, a lot of physical potential, but he needs to deliver a little bit more. That is Massaranduba's 6th win by submission, which is the most of anyone at the 205 division on the roster at the moment. Interesting little fact, a little tidbit for you right there. And I don't really have much else to say right now. A beautiful display of grappling to get the win. Massaranduba, of course, one of the oldest fighters, one of the original fighters conceived in the simulator, making things work here. And we'll see what he has next on the cards. This was the first 205 fight in OFC history, so there's not a lot of rankings to talk about in terms of where this goes for either man. But I'm interested to see Krummenacker fight again. He's very aggressive. He's got a lot of pace. He's got a lot of athletic upside. He just needs to shore up his defense a little bit more. And perhaps he needs to fight another kind of beastly fighter. Someone more along the lines of a Jason Austin or a John Spitzbube or Clayton the Cleaver Butcher. All guys who I think would be interesting matchups going on. As for Massaranduba, I mean, at 10-1, he's got to be considered for the inaugural 205 title. If it's a tournament, he's definitely in it. The division currently has signed on 17 fighters, so you could definitely do a 16-man division tournament with that. That might be next up on the cards. I don't know. I haven't planned that far ahead, to be honest. Coming up, we got OFC 6, where the lightweight championship will be crowned with Chase the Phantom Nightmare, Daniel the Excellence of Execution Galvan facing off in one semifinal, Dirty Robbie Scott and Patrick Justice Osveric in the other one, and a bunch of guys looking for possible redemption in the alternate bouts. Also on the card, we've got a battle between a pair of UFC veterans in Cassius Clay Collard and handsome Matt Wyman. Look for that to be a bit of a banger. And also some big debuts in the featherweight division with Sean Hybrid Smith coming out to putting up his 9-0-1 record up against Brian Buzzsaw Hayden. So that's OFC 6 that's coming up. And then at OFC 7, it'll be the Battle of Quebec and Ontario, the French versus the English. That's what's next on the cards.